So we're talking about finding a spiritual advisor, and I'm having this conversation with my colleague, as usual, Tiffany Lee, um, and and it's come to us, and this is a spiritual advisor, and for me, it's not. We're not talking about someone who is an intermediary between you and the divine invisible, but it's someone who can help guide you along your spiritual path. That, and for somehow, to me, that's different from somebody who's interpreting things, interpreting like, uh, the God,
Like a
the
priest.
God presence. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's someone who is at a place that can help you sort of just guide you along your path. At least that's how I'm looking at it. So, hi and welcome to New Answers Podcast. And you know that we are a community of just everyday people who are discussing solutions to life challenges just based on our own personal experience. And I mentioned Tiffany Lee. I'm joined by Tiffany Lee on this nurturing spirituality odyssey that we're on. Hi, Tiffany. Um, and so let's continue our conversation, or let's, yeah, go into our conversation about this finding a spiritual advisor, someone that you can work with to help you along the way. Um, and I'm curious about this. Like, what is it? I mean, these folks are spiritual as well, but maybe they're at a different frequency than you are, a different, kind of level than you are. And so, how do you find that right person? What are the characteristics? How do you determine that they are in a higher consciousness that can help guide you? What would you say to that? I know that we've always re made references to the fact that you are in training as a spiritual practitioner, which is what we're talking about. So give us from your perspective how you would go about finding a spiritual advisor.
Well, I would consider it exactly if you're looking for coaching, like a business coach. One, they have to know more than you. That's like the first thing.
They have
Also,
to
you
know,
look at, yeah,
say
you
that
look
again.
at that they should know more than you, that it's
Oh,
obvious that there's something you can learn from them. Um, because even in coaching, or I feel like you get a coach that resonates with you. You just feel like they get you, it resonates, and you have to pay attention to your body, with everything. Does it resonate? Do you feel like you can learn from this person? And when you do, there comes a point in time when it might be done. You may not be able to continue to learn from that person. You've reached the max, and then it's time to go to the next level. Because a lot of times, coaches and spiritual advisors and whatnot, they stay where they are. They're like, okay, I found my people that need the information I have, and they want to stick with that. They may not themselves be getting coached. So, with a coach or a spiritual advisor, I want someone that is also still learning, either going to school or has coaches, is constantly reading. Um, if they say stuff like, I know I'm always right, or I have all the info, and there is out there's a lot of spiritual ego out there.
yeah.
Um, that's who I would veer away from. And now those to me are the extreme. There's spiritual ego, and you can learn from someone with spiritual ego because it's a stage in your spiritual path. Not everyone has it, but a lot of people do. At a certain point of success in your spiritual path, you you can get spiritual ego, which is in your spiritual path. What you want to do is you want to shrink your ego. But there are times if you're not really connected to source, you can, instead of your ego shrinking, it just takes on a new personality. It becomes the spiritual ego, the very spiritual person, but still not a lot of alignment with source. So therefore, they might feel like they have all the knowledge themselves and they're not continuing to grow. And
So
if,
how do you discern that difference? So, what is it that you should be listening for and and watching out for you to make those determinations about where this person is? Is it just through conversation? And I know you say you need to really pay attention to how you are reacting to them, right? What
yeah,
your body is telling you, what your instincts are telling you. Yes, I think that's a big thing, but is there any questions that you think, so for anybody who's listening to this and is seeking out a spiritual advisor, what would be an example of the things that they need to be asking questions about and looking for?
that's a really good question. I would ask the advisor, what do you do to continue your learning process or awakening process? What are
That's a
your practices?
oh, I love that.
Yeah. And then listen for the way they talk about themselves, or you can even look at it in marketing. I know someone that is constantly on social media discussing how great they are, how they've helped so many people, everything about it is them showing up, telling everyone how great they are. If you're really good, you don't need to shout it.
Yeah.
Like people will know you don't need to shout out and tell people constantly how good you are. So you want to look for humility. And
Oh,
humility is when someone is continuing their growth process, knowing that they haven't reached the the highest point yet. Like we don't. We're all here to grow and we don't reach the highest point. No one gets there. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have come here for that reason. But there's definitely some advisors that are very would say very high consciousness. The thing is, like, even if you get very high consciousness, even if you get to like this, the top of the mountaintop, you're still going to fall. Like, so that's the humility. Like, no one ever gets there and stays there. There's still going to be this. So if someone can't admit that they can make mistakes or they could be wrong or that they might be low in their ego, So especially if they're in their ego and you call them out. So that happened with a friend of mine. She's very in her ego because she has a lot of success. And but she had some health issues, so I referred her to someone. And when he pointed out, here's why you have these health issues, it has a lot to do with you need to be more humble. And, there's some ego blocks. She was highly offended by it and
oh,
could not hear it and, just did not receive it well at all. So,
yeah, yeah. Wow. So to me, what you have just said is a lot. It's it's really good to hear this. So humility, and I would agree with you that that would be key. And being able to ask that person, what is it you do in order to promote your continuing spiritual growth? Those are key questions. I mean, that's a key question I think to ask, and it will get to um, how that person sees themselves and whether or not there's humility there or there is ego that gets in the way because we're humans. That ego is going to come up. And it's just a matter of identifying it and naming it uh,
right.
so that you can, be aware of it and kind of keep it in check. Um, and again, when I talk about spiritual advisors, I'm not talking about somebody who thinks of themselves as a leader or somebody who is going to interpret like the divine spirit for you, but
Hmm.
just kind of help to point your way through it.
Right.
And I don't think I'm articulating well enough the distinction there, because again, I don't believe in these intermediaries. I keep calling them, you know, these with whatever spiritual path that you're on. But um, so I'm talking about somebody who is a little bit more developed than maybe you are in terms of your consciousness and just being able to help guide you because they've been through this, right? They had
Right,
the experience and they can help guide you through it as well. So I guess that would
right,
be another thing too. And I guess in asking that question, what do you do to continue to grow spiritually? You can come to understand where they are in their development and whether or not it's uh, equal to you or they're a little bit past you or whatever, whatever that is.
right. Yeah, um I think if you really are on the spiritual path that you really should get an advisor, whether
Yeah.
it be you should invest in classes, invest in going to workshops, and invest in getting a, a spiritual advisor. When I work with my clients, I have noticed that when I get my downloads with them, a lot of times the information I've noticed is for me as well. And I'll tell them, I'll be like,
Oh,
I just got this, and I'll be able to relate because spirit's going to work that way. You're always going to reflect almost like what you are going through in a sense. Like everyone's your universe is a mirror. So I can be humble enough to be like, I'm talking to my clients and I'll get a download and I'll be like, that was for me too. I'm going to do this as well. I've noticed that a lot. So, because that's how the universe is, because we are all one, right? And so
that's
just
true.
be open to going where you can and just know that when you go to an advisor, they're learning too. They're
Yeah,
still in school. We're still in earth school, so but but yes, as I mentioned earlier, two of my clients, they were kind of stuck. So here's a good thing is like they were stuck and they've gone to a lot of spiritual advisors and coaches and stuff. And so I could say three of my clients, and they just weren't growing anymore, or they were confused and they felt like they're in the void. Now there are times when we do get in the void. That's normally before we're going to do a huge life new path type of thing, but
yeah.
they couldn't move from it. And when talking to them, I had a feeling that they were going to advisors that were lower consciousness than them. And I'll tell you why. They're at a higher conscious where they're like ready to go after their heart path, their soul path,
Uh-huh.
and they were being conflicted with money. They were like, and I know I still need to do this, this, and that. And I could tell by the way that they were talking is that they're talking to advisors that were very much more on um, the money manifestation path. And that's actually a lower path. And that's still in the ego and mind. Um, and these ladies were really done with that. They were done with that part of their life. They were ready to go after their soul path, but they were
Oh,
really conflicted. So I told them, I was like, you literally just might be going to advisors that are lower than you. You're in grade 5 and you're going to advisors in grade 3, but spirit has something else for you. And so you're not getting the advice that you need, the advice that you don't even know is out there. Because we don't,
mm,
the best thing to know is that we don't know what is
yeah,
available for our, growth. And if you're going to someone where what they're saying to you, you technically already know, and what you're thinking is, I'm not embodied it. Maybe you have embodied it. Maybe you passed that level already.
yeah,
So that's the other thing is like, just who are you going to and are you growing? Do you feel comfortable in your spirit with the way you're growing or are you getting stagnant? So their advisors, there was
yeah,
nothing wrong with it. They just weren't at a higher level. And and a lot of people on the path will do this. They'll go to multiple people, which is fine. But what happens when you're doing that is you might grow faster the more people that the more information you're taking in, the more you're going to body and the faster you're going to grow. So if you have one person you're paying, but you're watching other things here or reading on your own or downloading straight from source, you might grow faster than that one advisor that you're at.
hmm hmm That, so here's what I'm taking away from this is that you can get a clue as to whether or not you need to uh, identify a different spiritual advisor by, once you ask and answer, get answers to the questions, those fundamental questions about humility and about, what do they do, those spiritual advisors do to grow themselves, is to pay attention to whether you feel as if you are growing with the advice that they're giving, or are you stuck?
Right,
If you feel like you're stuck, then that's a clue, that's a hint as to maybe not even a hint. It's like this is a sign that you need to find someone else who's at a different frequency than this person that you're with is now, so that you
right.
can grow. You can grow. You need to look for that person with a higher frequency. And like you said, the more you're out there making that discovery, I guess the larger your circle gets, the more opportunity will be for you to find that right person. And then let it, have those conversations and let it see how it sits in your body. Do you feel, is there something instinctual that, in your gut that says, oh, this person is the right person for me, or not, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and it's just I guess it's a matter of just having those conversations. And I don't know if there's, if there's like you had mentioned sort of a gradient, are they at level 3 or at level 4? And I don't know if
Right.
that's a formal sort of set of standards that's out there, or is it just, something, that came to you, right? As part of your sort of instinct about this.
Well, there is kind of, I mean, there's theories that there are different levels, especially in, say, science of mind. I think it's
Okay.
Michael, where you go to Agape. I think he
But
says there's the what's done to me, bottom level, what's done for me, what's done to me, for me, by me, and through me. So through me is the highest consciousness. That's like where Christ was, right? God worked through him. To me is the lowest
oh,
consciousness, where
mm-hmm.
life happens to them, where they're not taking really any responsibility. Life happens to them, like the devil made me do it, or the rain made me crash, or this and that,
Yeah.
For me, the universe loves me. And this is where I think this is like fourth, I think it's like 40 for me, where you're
Mm-hmm.
manifesting, the universe works for me. You put your prayer out there and things happen. And that's a lot of where the money manifesting people are. Uh,
Yeah.
the universe works by me. That's a higher manifestation where you're almost magic, where you're magic. You're
Ah.
creating your world consciously and intentionally. And
Uh-huh.
through me is when you're the vessel for Christ. Christ is in you and you're the vessel, like walking around like Jesus. So you can look at those big steps,
Oh,
and those are
okay.
major,
They
but
are.
um, but kind of like on the everyday, you just feel what resonates with you. Because sometimes
Mhm.
if you're at if you're at like the universe uh to me, the to me level, the bottom level,
Yeah.
you go to someone that's at like, so we'll say that one in level 3, you're not going to relate either. That's too high. You actually need to go to go to me and for me. You actually
Yeah.
those steps.
Yeah.
So, um, and again, it's how you resonate. Like, don't try to
Yeah.
jump too far ahead because you just won't understand. You've probably been or watched things where you're like, I don't understand any of this. So your
hmm
brain will just be like, I don't believe it. Like for sure. There's things I see now that 2 years ago I was like, I don't understand at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've noticed when I'm getting knowledge, when it's time for me to really embody it, Spirit gives it to me. So I can read something all around, all a million times or hear about it a million times, but then one day you're gonna be like, oh, that's when it's embodied. And that's,
Yeah.
when the divine's like, it's your time to understand this, you know?
Yeah. 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 Okay. I can understand that. That helps me. So it helps to have those stages and those sort of, I don't know if I should call them standards, but at least those stages so that you know where you are and you know you can basically make some determination about where your spiritual advisor needs to be to help
Right.
you grow. Right. So it's to me, for me, by me, and then the highest level is through me. I'm trying to think of where I am. I think I'm probably at for me
Hmm.
or somewhere between to me and for me. I think that's
Right. And I think
where I
I'm at
am.
for me, trying to get to by me.
By me. Yeah.
Yeah, and it took me a
Yeah.
while to get me because if you're standard Western Christian, it's to me. So most of
Yeah.
us have grown up to
Yeah.
me. The devil
That's
made me
me.
do it, or God blessed me, and it has nothing to do with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So then
Right.
we go from there to for me, and that's when you're conscious of, the
Hmm.
universe is working for you. Things are going
Hmm.
to happen when you speak into it and you manifest and stuff like that.
Yes.
Right. So that alone is hard to get to. I feel like once you get to that level, the rest is just easier steps. But because we're
Yeah.
so raised on to me, which is completely non-responsible for your life. Every
Yeah.
parents did it to you, your brother, what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything. That's really hard to leave, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So
you grow up in it for the most of your life and it's always, you know, something exterior
right.
that's happened that
Happen
makes,
to you.
to
Yeah,
you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
And yeah.
for me is where a lot of the consciousness is right now, where they're like manifesting money and beginning to understand that. But it's a hard jump. That's a hard jump. Once you get for me, I think that by me, that's another hard jump. But that's when you're magic. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
like healers or by me. You know what I mean? But they're
Mm.
also through me. Like the higher up the healer is it through me. Like a really high healer is someone that's like, I'm going to go into like a practitioner with a lot of experience at the science of mind, like Michael, or my friend David, who's a shaman. They go into the ethers
Hmm.
and they align with God in the ethers where they just become one completely and they look at a person and they see them as God too. And that's
Mm.
how they heal. Is like they align solely with God in the ethers and then they look towards you with the truth of you being God as well.
Hmm.
And that energy does the healing. It's God through them.
Hmm.
So they're aligning for that person,
Hmm.
for God to work through them. So
Hmm.
that's a really high consciousness. Where
Yeah,
literally
definitely.
there's people that you can just walk in their presence and be healed. Like Jesus was. Like people would just touch him, just be there and would be healed near him because he was such high. He was God walking on earth, like such high consciousness. You know,
Hmm.
we can get there. It just takes work.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, God, Christ is the example. Jesus is the example
Right.
of where we can aspire to be, right? That where we can
Well, we
actually
can
not even
aspire. Yeah.
aspire, we can attain it. We can attain it. Um, but yeah, at the levels wherever we are below that, obviously we are aspiring to be there, but it is attainable
Right.
because Jesus achieved it. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's not an overnight thing. People forget that Jesus, or don't know, a lot of people don't know that he studied 15 years at least to get
yeah,
to where he was when in the Bible, where we talk about those 3 years. But from the time he was 15 to those years, he was studying. There's
Right.
evidence of him being around the world learning different things, like in Egypt or um, India, I think, different places.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah, so at the time of his birth, right, he is seen as the son of God. But at the time of his birth, he did not have those attributes, right? Those qualities. I mean, he had to grow into them. He had to learn, right?
well, we don't know for sure. There is a book out there that talks about Jesus as a child, and it
Yeah,
seems like he was birthed into with attributes, like with some awareness,
yeah.
or at least with, I'd say, with the
The
veil down, which a lot
capability.
of people do are born with the veil down, and sometimes they bring it back up. Like I think I was born with the veil down, and
Hmm.
I brought it up because I wanted to blend in, to the
Hmm.
world. But with him even more. So there's a book out there about his childhood, and I think it's
Mm.
based on some themes, but mostly and I'll have to find the book. I have it, and I'll I'll tell you later when I remember it.
Okay.
Put it in the
And I
comments
can put it
below.
in the
Yeah, but
description. Yeah.
yeah, but it does talk about how there were incidents that um people would steal his diaper because his dirty diaper would heal them, the cloth, you know what I mean? Um,
Oh,
yeah,
really? Okay, I hadn't heard those stories. Okay.
and and that he accidentally killed a bird and then brought it back to life as a child.
Ah,
Like
okay.
little stories like that, like it existed in him, but he still had to learn
He had to
a lot.
learn. It was like sort of, I don't know how he ended up killing the bird, but and then understanding that he could bring it back to life, but it was kind of a trial and error thing. It wasn't anything, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
That's how I'm envisioning it, how it
I think
happened.
it's through the words. Like he was connected
Oh,
enough, he
okay.
came in connected enough that his words, and he probably learned young that his
Yeah.
words cause
Cause things to
are the
happen.
cause. Yeah,
Yeah.
cause and effect, which
Yeah.
we do. We all know that. But
Yeah.
if we were intentional about our words having an effect,
Yeah.
that's a whole different vibration. And he came in
Yeah.
at a high vibration already, I think.
Yeah. Because it was what was it, at age 33 that he died?
Mhm.
Or am I getting it? Yeah.
Yeah,
But up until that time, he was kind of learning as he went, you know.
right. He kind of disappeared from what we have in the books, disappeared at like 15. And
Hmm.
then the teachings from in the Christian Bible started at 30. So we have 3 years, like the whole Bible's based on 3 years. And so that's why people have gone into so much research, like, well, what
Yeah.
happened between 15 and 30?
Before. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. This is fascinating. And I think at some point, I don't know whether it was on a recording. I know it was a previous recording. I said I made, or whether or not I said this before or after we recorded, but I had this idea that the Bible was based on journalism, like the Christ, um, as we know it, had journaled what was going on at the time that he was alive, and that's what became the genesis of the book of the Bible. That's what the Bible was based
Right.
on. But I'm now learning that no, he wasn't journaling when stuff was going on. He was still, I don't know. So it was other people who had, I don't know, taken notes or whatever, had come
Well,
up with
they
the
didn't
Bible.
they didn't have paper and pen back then. So it was all
There you
word.
go. Okay, there you go.
It
Me
was
and my
all,
historian
all
self.
communicated and passed down,
So it was all
and then
oral. Yeah.
it was all oral. And,
Okay.
I mean, at that time, you probably didn't know they were even creating the Bible. Like, he was just teaching what he's,
Yeah.
what he receives from God. Like he says, whatever I do, I receive it from God. That's how we could and should live. We wake up,
Yeah.
we meditate, we receive our instructions, And they
Yeah.
did have some studying, but it's oral. There's still a lot of places around the world, by the way, that everything's oral. Like when I go to Haiti, there's
Mm.
no books, there's no paper and pens. They teach everything orally. normally by song and dance. So even like when we were teaching, we had to
Mhm.
learn how to teach by song and dance, which is fun, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. So when they put the Bible together, it's different people's pers perspectives, basically,
right.
what they one remembered from when he was
Yep,
there and what was passed down.
yeah. Their perspective, their interpretation, yeah. And
Yeah.
and what I like to say and resonate with is that we can make that direct connection without anybody's interpretation or perspective. Um,
And
yeah,
we don't want to block out all like help. We don't want to block out all leaders. Like, yes, we can
yeah,
make that the goal is to get it directly right from source
yes,
as much as possible. But we do have ego, and
yeah,
that is not an easy thing to overcome your ego. So if everyone's walking around thinking they're downloading it, well, they might be, but where is their ego consciousness for
mm,
what it comes through? You know what I mean? It's like it may not just come straight. It might be going like this, and here's the ego, and is reshaping the knowledge, and then this comes out. And so that's why the ego is something to like be cautious of. You know, like humility is you want a leader that's in humility, and they're going to mess up. I mean,
yeah.
look at Michael
They
did
are.
at Agape for a while. You know, he got really popular. He had
Hmm.
a he messed up, but we are all human. So
Yeah.
my friend says there's 5 places that we work on. It's like money, love, health, ego, whatever. Ego's part of it. I don't know. All
Hmm.
five. But he said it's almost impossible for us to be perfect on all these. We all like will pick a few and concentrate on it, you know. So I say in organization, pick where you want to be show up as your best God self.
Mm.
I mean, pick what area in your life you want to show up as your best God self, you
Hmm.
know, then give grace to yourself even and give grace to your leaders or your counselors or whatever where they're not showing up because they still need to be learning because they're still going to learn. And that's
Yeah.
why humility is important that they
Key.
can acknowledge that they're still
Yeah.
learning too, that they're not perfect.
Yeah. And is it something that we can pick, or is it something that we come here with? And I guess I'm thinking about um, our purpose. And is that purpose something that we can select and choose, or is it something that we come here with and we have to discover it? You know what I mean? Like it's given to us. Like the gifts and talents, we come here with those gifts and talents, and it's a matter of us discovering them and using those gifts and talents in the world, which is doing God's work, basically? Or is it something that we choose, like,
I think that depending on, I mean, there's a lot of different theories, right? But one of the main theories is that we all come here that God is the work is just living. Like that's where
mhm,
science of mind and is we're just expressions. God's
yeah,
expressing and experiencing life through us. So really the work, God's work is just experiencing life. Um, but then there's also the theory that our soul though is here to learn and to grow, right? In the
mhm,
life experience. So you're
mhm,
going to encounter um experiences in your life that you're supposed to grow from.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, so
and
let's just say like there's a lot of leaders, right? And their fall is women, right? Like if there's a lot of male leaders, their fall might be women or money. Those are major areas of soul growth and they're very highly tempting. So um we call it the fall, but really it's their lesson. Like they, to
yeah,
get to that area, they might have embraced and embodied wisdom very, very well
mhm,
and leadership. but where their lesson was is still with dealing with temptation, with wisdom or money. And the best place to learn those lessons is from a high standard, from a high place,
Yeah.
because you're in the eyes of so many people, you have so much responsibility. How do you learn to embody that responsibility without falling is to actually have the lesson of eventually falling and then getting back up.
Yeah.
And that's where we just have to have grace. We're like, we're still all here to learn.
Right.
And we can't put someone in the position of where they can no longer learn. Like they would not live. We'd have to put them in a room and be like, you can only come out when you're here to teach and then go back in the room and experience zero life, you know?
Yeah. 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 So those life lessons are about growth, and
Hmm.
and we all have to experience them because we all have areas in which we need to grow. Right?
Right.
So and sometimes those are that's the downfall, that's when you fall, because that is an indication of an area that's undeveloped in your own, you know, sort of being, right?
So yeah, it's the lesson for
It's the lesson. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I guess we've talked about this before. At least for me, it's when we don't learn those lessons, we repeat,
We
right?
will keep repeating
We
until
will
we
keep
learn the
repeating
lesson.
until we learn the lesson.
Right. So if you want to know what lesson you're in the middle of, what are you repeating right now? And I have to think of that with myself, you know.
Yeah, me too. And it's usually about relationships.
Hmm.
So
Well,
go
and
ahead.
that's the thing about relationships is that's when we actually do our most learning because
Hmm.
wherever you are, you're going to attract your mirror.
Yeah,
So you're
that's
in a
true.
relationship and whatever's bothering you about that person is probably what you need to work on in you or you need to grow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wow. And so in finding a spiritual advisor, going back to that, kind of connecting that,
Right.
you need to find somebody who can help you with in that growth area, right?
Right.
Who's at a different level than you, well, a level of consciousness than
Yeah.
you are. Hmm. Wow. This is really good. And I'm still kind of fascinated about that purpose deal. Why we're here. What is it that we're supposed to do? We are supposed to be the hands and feet of the God consciousness and the higher power. But how do we know you know, what we're supposed to do? I'm in another,
I think it's whatever you're feeling passionate about at the moment,
okay.
and you don't have to be glued to it. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't have to
And
be
it may
attached
not
to
be
it.
one thing, huh?
Exactly. Don't be
Mm,
attached to it. And that's something I've been um kind of working through with some of my clients is that you could get a message today that says go this route, and
hmm.
then a week later go another route, or 2 years later or 5 years later. You know what I mean? It's like just be in flow with spirit because your purpose is to really be expressed, to express source and to grow and learn. So sticking to one route is not the best way to grow and learn anyway, you know.
Right. Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
that we have to look for some big major purpose all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's good enough really to just be like here to enjoy life. That might be the greatest purpose is to be able to enjoy life.
Mm,
Because to do that, we have to get out of our head. We definitely have to be out of ego. To fully embody and enjoy life, you have to come from the heart.
uh,
Because the
yeah.
ego and the mind tells so many stories that
Mm-hmm.
make it hard to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy life. I'm laughing because I wish I could explain. I wish I could show this. I came across a meme. No, it's one of my Instagram feeds, and it's a medical page, and it explains different medical things um in a really simple way. And so maybe shouldn't have brought this up because I don't know if I can give it justice, but there's an element in our brain that it was like walking and it's pulling this thing that looks like a cell, and that it's like the myochondria or something like that. Anyway, it's walking it to a certain part of your brain so you can feel happy. So it's like this little ball is the happiness gene, and there's these little things that look like feet, and it's walking it to a certain part of your brain. And so I was watching the comments and reading the comments, and people were like, "That's why it's so hard to be happy. Look at those feet." But if you think about it, it's like it's a process learning to be happy and being in happiness. And it's not an
Mm-hmm.
automatic. It's like we have to actually create it in ourselves.
Mm. That's funny. Yes, I'm picturing these, animated thing is going on. Um, Interesting. And yeah, so there's that, and then what you were saying about it's not just the um what was it, the head, the hand, but it's the heart, right? The heart is where your passion is.
Mhm.
And you could be passionate about a number of different things over the course of your lifetime, for sure.
Right,
And but it's the expression of that passion through the heart, right? That I think is what's key to our being here and being the hands and the feet of the divine invisible.
right.
And
Well, we are the divine, right? We're expressions of the divine.
we are
So no
expressions.
matter
We
what,
are,
we're the hands and feet,
yeah,
whatever we're doing.
yeah, yeah, see, I gotta get that. I gotta get that connection. I mean, I understand it on some level, but yeah, I'm not expressing it like yes, we are absolutely the hands and feet. Um, and so, and in that heartfelt, passion, um, I'd like to think that we are contributing to and that's how I see myself as contributing to the improvement of the human condition, while we're here on Earth at this plane.
Hmm.
Um, so help finding an advisor that can help guide you along this path, I think I think it'll be helpful to everybody to have
Yeah.
somebody like that. I know it's going to help me. I gotta find somebody. That's probably going to be you, Tiffany.
I think we already are. Like, look at how much we've both grown since we started this last January, February. So we're kind of doing that for each other already, you know?
I think you're right about that. Yeah, I have grown tremendously. I mean, and my sister has said this, that my language has changed, like how I express things is different from what I was doing maybe a year ago. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I can. So that's been reflected back to me, and I guess I can feel the difference,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
and and feel it in the way that, like, I'm no longer, and this is part of some of the affirmations that I do every day too. I'm no longer just knee-jerk reacting to
Hmm.
things that happen to me, stuff that comes to you, right?
Right.
I'm standing in. That's why I think I'm between the to me and for me. I'm
Right.
now kind of taking a breath before I react, and I'm trying to radiate something different, like a different response to whatever comes to me.
Right.
So I feel that. I really
That's a
feel,
little bit of by me. So I guess it's not going to be clean cut um
yeah,
transformation because
yeah,
when
yeah,
you were
yeah.
like
No.
yeah, when you're like saying that you're trying to radiate, then that is an element of by me, you know.
Mm.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
except we're probably all a mixture of it. And then
I think, yeah, I think
yeah,
we
I
probably,
would say we're probably all a mixture of it because
yeah.
um, you know what? Right now the light, the sun came through and look how much clearer my like
Oh, I see
image
that.
came. Yeah. Like the
Yes.
sun is like shining through the clouds now. That made such a huge
Uh-huh.
difference over here.
Yes, I see that change. Yeah. As we're talking about this,
Right, exactly.
yeah.
Yes. Spirit's like, yes,
Yes, you get it. Yeah.
get it.
But I was going to say kind of same thing that you're saying is that with those different levels, like I don't think it's a linear process.
Right,
That it's kind of you're like we're up and down and in and out of each of those stages until we get to that highest level, the
right,
through me level. Yeah. So as we're growing and as we're experiencing things, we're in and out of levels two, four, the to me, for me, and by me phase
right,
into it. Yeah. So, and so don't like beat yourself up because you think you've kind of backslid or whatever. It's just a level of, it's just a matter of, what do you call it? A cyclical kind of way of being instead of
right. Yeah,
linear.
I guess you kind of like, I would say we loop, you know what I mean? And you
You'll
loop,
reloop.
yeah.
Hmm.
So something that happened to me this last week was a friend did something that really hurt my feelings.
Mm,
And knowing where she is at the level and what I would normally do, I really wanted to, I was trying to figure out how to talk to her about it.
mm,
But I realized talking to her about it, knowing her that it may not get resolved properly. And what,
mm,
and it bothered me all day. And I prayed about it. And then in the morning, my morning download was there's no need to talk about it because you just see it from a higher level. She's acting out in a way that's just where she's at and works for her at the level she's at. And with my schooling and my practitioner work, I'm at a higher level, and that's just where we are. And I don't have to end the friendship. I don't have to talk to her about it. I can take space to stay in the energetic level I'm at.
mm.
And what happens, happens. If she grows and like will grows to that level, it will like it will resolve itself.
It will resolve itself. Yeah.
As opposed to me lowering myself to be in an argument over something that, what's the purpose
Mm,
of it? It could end a friendship. Whereas if you just take space and look at it as that person just is, at least at that moment of the action,
mm-hmm,
is where she is.
mm-hmm.
And then it comes down to like forgiveness. And this is a high level thinking what I'm about to say. There's no need to ever forgive someone
Mm.
because forgiveness, as they say, is always for you, right? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
really
yeah.
for that person. If you get it right, it's for you. You're forgiving them because you are just acknowledging, like, I don't want that energy. Also, for
Mm-hmm.
you to think that someone did something to you is low
Oh,
vibration.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So
Okay,
there's
because
no reason to ever forgive someone because one, it's probably not done to you. That person's just at that vibration of where they are. That's not really your business. Be where you are and release it. And that's why you forgive. You release that energy that's not fitting you and go about your way and keep growing.
okay. That I hear you. And I'm gonna think about that some more because before you just said that, the thought that occurred to me was, um, and now I'm rethinking it because of what you said, but I was thinking, wouldn't this be an opportunity to help that person grow if you had that conversation in a way that she could hear it, that person could hear it? Um, that's an opportunity for her to grow. But the deal is, it was you felt hurt, right? So it was something coming at you that you felt hurt. She probably didn't feel anything, right, when it was
Right,
happening.
right.
And
I felt
so
it was something done to me. She
something done
probably
to
didn't mean
you.
it that way.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so how could I mean, so what I was going to ask is how could you help her grow, but she wouldn't think that she needed to grow because it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like
Right,
maybe it wasn't intentional. So it was your response. Okay, okay, I think I got it. It's like, oh, it's not, no. Because I at my level, I think I would have taken that tact. Here's an opportunity to help her grow when
right,
I was the one that felt hurt. She didn't,
right. And I
Mhm.
would have had to step down into a lower consciousness
Into that.
to
Yes.
even have that conversation, as opposed to it was really used for me to grow. Because what
Yeah.
I just told you came out of that situation.
Yeah.
Like my downloads, that was my growth opportunity. Hers will come
Yeah.
when she needs it.
When she needs it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's really deep, and that shows the benefits of the classes that you're taking, that you would take that tact. Wow, this has been fascinating. So my takeaway, and I'm not sure what people who are watching this, what they're going to take away from this is some of the key things, and I think I said this at the top, is what it is we should be looking for when we are finding a spiritual advisor is humility is key, and making sure that that person isn't coming from a place of ego, right? Edging
Right,
God out. We want to ask them, what do they do personally to continue their growth in spirituality? What do they do? That will give you a clue as to whether or not there's, ego involved, and, do
found
they
the
see
answer.
themselves as being in a place of continuing growth, or do they think that they're, at that, there's no growth needed for them because they
Right.
have it all. Again, about
Grandiose. What's
humility
it
and
called? Like
ego.
grandiose.
Oh yeah, that kind of grandiose personality or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, so those were some of the key things. And then, looking at I don't know if you want to call them standards, but the stages of growth, the to me, the for me, by me, and then through me. This kind of gives you a clue as to where you are and maybe where your spiritual advisor might be that can help you, making sure that they are at a higher level than you are in
Right,
terms of how they are um, reacting to situations in life. Is it
right,
to me? Is it for me? Is it by me? Is it through me? Yeah.
right.
So those are some of my takeaways. So I hope those of you who are listening to this, maybe you have some other things that you got out of this conversation, but whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you, and you can place your comments in the space below this video. And then I'm always going to remind you to click that subscribe button so that you can be the first to know about any new postings that we have on this channel, the New Answers podcast channel, Nurturing Spirituality. So, are there any last words you want to leave with our audience today, Tiffany, before we say goodbye?
Um, Not that I can think of other than enjoy. Oh, okay. So when you're on the journey, I just want to say enjoy it as much as you can, but also know that it's emotional and life changing. And that's why having an advisor or support is actually important. And this is why we're having this conversation.
Absolutely. Fantastic. All right. Thank you. Thank you for watching and listening. And on behalf of Tiffany Lee, I'm Gwendolyn Flynn. We'll see you next time.